Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's album review is on 1992 album Swervedriver called Raise. This is their debut album. Um, Swervedriver was a UK band, started in the late 80s, and had a couple albums and then made a comeback in like 2009 and are still playing. They're kind of a combination of sort of in indie rock, but on the heavier side. There's probably I wouldn't say a little bit of industrial in there, but it's more on the heavier side of indie. This is a really good album, though. I remember the first time I got a chance to hear this. Show you a close up of the artwork here. This is the CD, still my original copy. I first heard this when it came out that year. I was 16, and I think I was a sophomore in high school, right, or maybe a junior. And it's funny because this girl that I really liked in high school gave it to me to check out because she was into alternative music too, and I really thought she was cute. She was on the she was a cheerleader. It's funny when you I was a freshman and I had a big crush on her, and then she ended up liking my best friend, and then my best friend goes out with her, and then I go out with her friend, but I still had a crush on her. So that didn't really last too long. But strangely enough, a couple years later, I went back to that same school as a senior, and I ended up having liking the one girl that I went out with, but she didn't like me then. So you miss your opportunity. Sometimes you snooze, you lose. So I lost out on both girls, which is my luck as usual. But she was the one who first. I still remember her name was Charlene. She let me borrow this, and in 1992, and I remember I took it home. I remember I really liked the track "Rave Down," and it's still my favorite track on this album. But I thought it was a good album, but maybe it was a little bit. I wouldn't say ahead of the time, but maybe I didn't appreciate it at the time as much. And then a couple years later, I bought a used copy for a couple bucks, and pleasantly surprised. And I've always been a fan of the album, 30 years later. The overall sound of the album again is pretty heavy. The lead singer's name, Adam Franklin, really good voice for the sound. Guitars, same guitar player since the start too. The Jimmy Hartridge and Adam Franklin, both in the band, have been there since 1989, and they're still in the band. So 35 years later, they have some really good strong riffs, good layered riffs. Tight, quick drumming. Again, on the heavier side. This album is a really strong album, though. I in many ways is very underrated too. So there's 9 tracks on the record. The first track is Sci Flyer. Strong opener. It's 2.5 stars. Pile Up I like almost equally as much. I got 2.25 stars. The middle of the album is my favorite. Son of the Mustang Ford is a bit more direct. Nice changes in it. I got 2.75. Deep Seat. I really like the more laid back sound on this one. Good indie sound. Very strong layered guitars. And the bass line is really key in this track. And it's my second favorite song on the album. 3.5 stars. Rave Down is just indie magic. It's just perfect blend of melodic and harder sound. It almost sounds like if you mixed Helmet with Ride. Say that again. Helmet, sort of there. Strong, kind of tight, kind of underground riffs, right? With a little bit of just a touch of shoegaze, a little bit of post-punk in Ride. Helmet and Ride, and you would get sort of a Swervedriver sound. I love the track Rave Down. It's 4.25 stars. My favorite track on here. And then Sunset's really strong too. 3 stars. Nice heavy sound. Good range. Again, the lead singer is really strong. Um, it's surprising they didn't get more press, more attention because I don't know if that's because the label you're on or if that's because you don't come up with a great sophomore album or you don't get the right producer to lead you the right way. But sometimes you listen to a band, you're like, they should have been popular. I mean, 1992, like grunge is happening, things like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden's big in 92, and uh, Bush is about to be on the scene, and Stone Temple Pilots and stuff like that. And this kind of fits. I wouldn't say it fits in the grunge at all, but it's kind of more on the on the heavier side. So you would think something like this would have fit a little bit more. Sometimes I wonder if UK bands don't work out in America just because they would rather have another American artist get the same attention and money, so the money doesn't go over to UK and they don't support a UK band. Sometimes I think that because you're like, why wouldn't this? It's like the Sundays, right? Or it was another example I did in this review. Um, like Lush or Cranes or why wouldn't they be as popular as Garbage, right? I can't remember which one I wrote it on. I think it not no yeah Curve. Well, was it Curve? Yeah, I mean Curve. Yeah. So I'm doing a review on Curve coming up. Their album Doppelganger, their debut album. It sounds like Garbage before Garbage, like a couple years before Garbage. It's and then so I get it. Like you're gonna support maybe the prettier girl, or in your opinion, even though I think the girl on Curve, Tony Halliday, was much prettier than the girl on Garbage. But yeah, I mean, support the local band, support the American band, keep the money in America versus support a UK band. I mean, it seems like it makes sense. I mean, if you, and not really to that extent, but like if it's a American label and you have connections with the American label and you don't really have connections with the label, with a small label in UK, you're going to support the local label, right? And that way you get more money, and that's where your connections are. And they're like, hey, we got this band. Yeah, you got that band over there. They're pretty good too, but hint hint, support this local band and on my label, and there'll be more in it for you. I'll owe you a favor back. It's kind of like, it seems like that a little bit because you're just like, how could nobody even really know Curve in America, and Garbage was that big? It's just like they were as good as Garbage. Swervedriver was as good as, I don't know. I'm trying to think. They are kind of unique too, so it's hard to fully compare them, to a band from America. But again, if you mixed Helmet and Ride, it would sort of sound like Swervedriver. Feel So Real, really strong track too. The number 7 track is really catchy. 3.25 stars. Sandblasted, track number 8, 2.5 stars. And then, unfortunately, the least favorite song ends the album. Lead Me Where You Dare, and that's 1.5 stars. That's the only track on there good that I would say isn't good. In fact, pretty strong album though. I got 4 songs above very good, and 1 excellent. So you take the stars up, add them up, and it's 25.5 stars divided by 9, 2.83. Really strong album, right around very good. I think that correlates perfect to the score I was going to give, 67 out of 100, right on the high side of good, almost a very good. 9 tracks, maybe if there was one more really good track, I think I could easily see this album being in the 70s. It still holds up really well compared to 35 years or 32 years later. I think that's really the only opportunity. Really, is maybe 9 songs and 8 of them are good. Maybe one more very good song, and I could see this up in the very good album score. Maybe another Deep Seat. Track number 4 is kind of a more laid back, which works really well. I think if there was one more of those, probably on the album, would have really helped balance out the album. And also, just one little note: I think the voice is a little low in the mix. Sometimes there's so much going on, um, that it's pretty powerful, and you can't really hear his voice as well on a couple tracks. But again, really really underrated album. Check it out if you get a chance. If you don't know it, Swervedriver's 1992 album Raise. Really good. 67 out of 100. Really close to being in the 70s. Very good. It's on the high side of a good album. Really, really strong though, in my opinion, and very underrated. Let me know if you have any thoughts about it or you like this album. All right, take care.